Tonight on Canon and Cogito, is catching them all about discovery or control? Is the League a celebration of fairness or just another hierarchy? And are Pokemon closer to animals or people? Let's get into it. Welcome to Canon and Cogito, I Think Therefore Fandom. I'm Josh, and tonight we're diving into the world of Pokemon. A place of bonds, battles, and big questions hiding under all these Pokeballs. And my guest tonight is Wastelandshop, a friend from Twitch, and someone I'm excited to finally sit down with outside of chat. Hops, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the listeners a little bit about you, your connection to Pokemon, and maybe what your all-time favorite generation or starter is.
Oh boy. I apologize for one if you hear my dog in the back. She's getting mad.
That's
Two,
okay.
So my name is Wasteland Hops. You can call me Hops for short. You can also call me Haley. It is up to you guys. I'm a VTuber. So I am on the screen to you. My connection to Pokemon, I have been watching the Pokemon anime since I was maybe like 4 or 5. Like I can very like pivotally remember a moment where I just straight up watched in my parents' living room when I was a little itty bitty kid. But my first game was Pokemon Fire Red. And then I've played every game since, and I also went back and played the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color games. And then my favorite Pokemon is Noivern because it's best baby.
Excellent. So, let's go ahead and hop into our first save point. Real light question. If you could add one brand new type to Pokemon, what would it be?
Don't know. I mean, most of the typings are pretty good already. I'd probably have to go with like something obscure like plasma or like space themed if I had to. Like Deoxys being a psychic type, it would make more sense if it was like a space themed type. But you know, there's no space themed Pokemon, so I mean space themed typing already, so but yeah, probably something space themed like plasma.
I think that's really cool. Like, you could have a star, like a literal star.
Yeah.
That's freaking really cool. I would have never thought of that.
Just thought yeah. I had to go into the depths of my creativity for that one.
So, I know you said that like the typing works out really well. Would this bring a balance to the game or just cause like sheer chaos like Dragon used to?
I would assume it would bring balance. I don't really know how it would fit in, but I would imagine that it would have its normal weaknesses. It might end up being like a dragon type where it only has 1 or 2 weaknesses. But then, like, you know, you sit there and you look at Dragon, and Dragon's only strong against Dragon. So it'd probably be a similar thing where it's like it's only strong against itself, if I had to imagine.
Would this new typing dominate competitive or be just a total gimmick?
I'd say it would probably be closer to a gimmick, kind of like how the stellar typing in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is, well, Terra typing. Because it's just one of those, I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it.
That's okay. I could see it being a competitive level, because, I mean, using Dragon as an example, because up until the Fairy typing, Dragon was only weak against Dragon. I think you'd probably see something similar with like a plasma typing, where it's really only good against plasma, or you have like electricity as its only other weakness, but it would be super powerful against a ton of typing in that is already set up.
I will add to that, it also just depends on what format you're battling in, because if it has like caretakers, for instance, I mean, realistically, you're going to be changing your typing to be whatever your weakness is or whatever you want stab on, and so on and so forth.
Definitely. Awesome. I really like that. I think that's a solid typing, and not something I ever would have considered. So, I'm going to pop up our timer. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. The 2 minutes is just going to be for this primary discussion. I'm going to have follow-up questions after we finish. You have to decide whether to defend or rebut this hot take. There's no middle ground. The strongest trainers aren't the ones who win battles, but the ones who form bonds.
Okay, I am 100% with this. So a very good example would be in Pokemon Black and White. You go against the main antagonist, whose name is Genesis, or Genesis, I don't remember how it's pronounced, it's been a long time. He has a very strong team, a very formidable team, but it's hinted at very, like, early on that his team was forced to evolve, i.e. if you look at his Hydreigon, it has Frustration, and it's a very, very strong move. He's a very, very strong Pokemon, but because he doesn't have that bond, because he's not able to, like, have that connection with them, he's always doomed to fail. He's always doomed to lose. 100%, I do think bonds are more important than strength. Another good example is, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the guy who went into the World Champions for the VGC competition quite a few years back, I think it was like 2014, who won with Pachirisu. Like, he loved his Pachirisu. That was not a very competitive Pokemon back then. And he proved that you can win with your favorites. Like, 100% bond over strength any day of the week.
I agree with you. Awesome. I agree with you. I think bonds are more important, and I think, like, the show especially does a really good job of kind of highlighting that.
Yeah, like the Mewtwo movie, the very first one, where all, like, his bond with Pikachu and all them, just, that's how he's brought back and stuff.
You're gonna make me cry.
But another good example of that also would be and one of the newer gimmicks in the game that's only been there for, like, the past maybe 4 games or so, which is having a bond level with your Pokemon. So in Pokemon Let's Go, if you have a really high bond level with your Pokemon, they can dodge an attack because they are worried about making you feel sad, and so on and so forth. Like, it's a very big, like, gimmick in the game.
I'm glad I haven't played the new games. I'd be sad all the time. So, throughout Indigo, well, I guess throughout the entire anime, does Ash's journey prove this point or more contradict it?
I think it proves it. He definitely lost a lot in the early series. Like, let's be honest, he lost a lot. He also, in the very first series, got a lot of his badges out of pity. But, I mean, you watch his journey as he goes on, and he grows a lot. His bond with his Pokemon his bond with Pikachu especially becomes extremely strong. And just, like, his whole demeanor, you can see that growth between him and his Pokemon. And the, not, like, the Butterfree episode, for instance, like, he loved his Butterfree. He didn't want to let him go, but he had to, because he knew that's what was best for that Pokemon. His Charizard, his, there's another one that I can't remember the name of right off the top of my head, but he left to go protect the other people or the other Pokemon of his type, and, like, Ash 100% was like, yeah, you do you. Like, it's just the maturity that came with his growth, I think, is the biggest example. of why bond matters.
I know this is an internet meme, but employers would literally kill for a 10-year-old with 30 years experience. Like,
Real.
Holy cow.
100%.
So are rivals like Gary actually weaker because of how they treat their Pokemon?
I would say the biggest thing is you're only seeing what they want to show you. So in Gary's case, I do think he is just as passionate about his Pokemon as Ash is. But then you go and you look at Silver, who's the redheaded antagonist of, or well, not antagonist, but rival of Pokemon Gold and Silver, and he's a dick to his Pokemon at first, from what you can tell. Like, he's constantly commenting on how they're weak and stuff, but then by the end of it, he does get better. Like, he realizes, okay, I need to treat them better if I want to get stronger. But then you do have your characters, your rivals, who are 100% like absolutely mean to their Pokemon, and you can tell because they don't win their final fights. They don't win when it matters most. And then you have people like Team Rocket, who are supposed to be evil, but are genuinely like the goodest people alive.
I love Meowth. He's always been one of my top favorite characters in the anime.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
And his story is so sad.
Yeah, his story is tragic. Holy cow. Yeah, his story is tragic. Team Rocket for life. Get out of here, Zaya. What the heck? All right. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I do think it's funny how our first antagonist went from being a mafia to literal space criminals, but
yeah, we really shifted, and I mean, in a certain sense, Team Rocket is a team of space criminals. I mean, they're always blasting off, so...
That's true.
And
that was very true.
And however they make it back to the planet after being blasted into space every episode, like... I don't know. Alright, we're gonna move on to our first big question. After I figure out what button to click. That's why. Okay. The Pokemon motto is all about catching them all. Do you think that's really about curiosity and discovery? Or is it actually about control?
Oh, wow. I think it genuinely depends on the person. I think in the case of, like, your game protagonists and stuff who are, yeah, exactly what Zaya just said, a blend of both. For most people in the Pokemon universe, I would say it is out of curiosity. You want to be a Pokemon master, you want to complete the Pokedex, like, all that stuff. But then you have some people like, you know, Team Rocket or Team Galactic and so on and so forth, and their whole thing is about controlling the Pokemon to make things better for themselves, for humans and stuff. So there's definitely a blend of both. It does depend on just who you're looking at. But for myself, I would definitely say it's more for curiosity. Like, I'm also a firm believer that if my Pokemon doesn't get caught on the first try, then it's not meant to be, and I will go catch a different one.
So, I guess, mechanically speaking in the games, you need to damage the Pokemon in order to catch them. Do you generally do that, or do you just outright throw the Pokeball and hope for the best?
It depends. For some of them, I will just straight up throw a Pokeball if I think I can catch it, especially if I can, like, status move them and put them asleep or something, so I don't have to hit them. But most of the time, yeah, I do end up fighting them and catching them. But we can get into that later. But there is a whole explanation for why they do fight.
Okay. So is the Pokedex more like research, like Oak intended it to be, or conquest?
Also feels like So when I do it, I'm not gonna lie, that one is probably more towards conquest. And it's just because, like, people like 100%ing things, right? Like, they like having all the data there. They're never gonna go and look at it unless they're curious and they want to know about the Pokemon. But most people are going to 100% just go to catch everything and then have that 100% rate and be done with it. Which, it also doesn't help that they incentivize the Pokédex by giving you, like, the shiny charm once you hit 100% completion, or the EXP charm, and so on and so forth.
I'm the same way. If I'm out to catch all of the Pokemon, I'm out to catch all of the Pokemon. Like, there is no in between there for me.
Yep.
Would the world be healthier if trainers only traveled with a few partners instead of, like, capturing all of these Pokemon and traveling with them? If they captured 2 or 3 Pokemon and traveled with them?
See, we don't know a lot about how Pokeballs work, for instance. We know that they get digitalized and put in these things, but we don't know what's really on the inside of them. I am a firm believer that if I was in the Pokemon world, I would not keep any of my Pokemon in their Pokeballs. Granted, all the Pokemon that I like that I would want on my team are 5 foot or below, so they're not, like, huge Pokemon by any means. But I mean, we see in the anime where, you know, Ash is catching all these Pokemon and he's not using them on his team, so when he's not using them, he sends them to Professor Oak, and Professor Oak keeps them on a farm. So I think it just depends, and, like, they're free range, they're not in their Pokeball, so I do genuinely think it just depends on where they're going once they're put away. If they're just kept in, like, a digitalized world, because we don't know what this digitalized world looks like, I would say it is cruel to keep multiple. But if they are going to live on a farm, then yeah, 100%.
I always imagined when I was a kid that they had, like, a tiny room in there. Like,
that's how I imagine it too, or like a little terrarium that's like did to their style.
Yep. I think that was part of my coping mechanism when I was young and playing these games was, if I'm gonna capture the Pokemon and I'm gonna put them in the PC, like, they have to have some level of comfort in the Pokeball. I don't want them in there.
I'm the exact same way. It's why, so when I play the games, I typically do not go and catch Pokemon. Like, I'll catch my first route Pokemon just to have a second Pokemon. But I have a very, like, specific team that I take into every single game since Gen 5. Or since Gen 6, actually. And so I will typically only catch those first 6. Well, the starter plus the first 5. And then after that, I'll worry about completing the entire Pokédex and stuff.
So is that, like, around the advent of Wonder Trade and Global Pokédex?
What do you mean?
Where you'll have, like, a specific team, or do you mean for every generation you'll have a different team?
I mean that as long as the Pokemon I want my team is in that game, I will hold off on catching a Pokemon until I get to its area.
Gotcha. That's really
cool.
So
I take the same 4 Pokemon into every game that I can. Or, well, not into every game, but I take the same 4 Pokemon and catch them in every game that I can. And then I'll take the starter Pokemon from that region, and then 1 Pokemon local to it. And then from there, I'll go and do all my stuff. Do the story.
So, ignoring Pikachu with this next portion, do Pokemon want to be caught, or do we just assume that they do?
They want to be caught. And it is a display of will, almost, if that makes sense. Like, you look at the anime is a big example of this. If a Pokemon does not want to be caught, it will just swat the ball away. Some Pokemon will just walk up to you, take a Pokeball from you, and say, hey, catch me. And so on and so forth. I definitely think if a Pokemon wants to be caught, it will be caught.
I actually like that outlook a lot. I hope that's the case.
It's why if I am battling one and I get it down to 1 HP and I waste like 3 Pokeballs on it, I will 100% just leave the fight or in the fight in whichever way and then go and try to catch a different one until it makes it easier. Because it's like I have that whole philosophy of if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be until it will happen.
I have a different philosophy because I play on the emulators often. My philosophy is I'm just gonna teleport an unlimited number of Master Balls and then never worry about it.
It's also fair. That's valid. Honestly, very valid.
All right, Hops. We're gonna move forward. I'm gonna bring it into your space, and this is your area to bring in one of your own Pokemon hot takes. Could be deep, ridiculous, or somewhere in between. So, what's your headcanon?
Okay, so this actually has to do a little bit with the ethics thing that we were talking about. I think Mega Evolution is the worst gimmick in the Pokemon games, and I also think it's the cruelest gimmick in the games. The biggest reasoning for this is a few of the Pokemon Dex entries in Pokemon X and Y talk about how Mega Evolution can be very painful for certain Pokemon. I mean, you look at Aerodactyl, it's smooth, it's purple, it's just a Pokemon. But you look at its Mega Evolution, and all of a sudden it has these giant, painful looking, like, rock spikes growing out of it. Like, I can't imagine it'd be comfortable. And I also just think, in terms of gimmicks, it's the worst because only a select amount of Pokemon can do it. Whereas, Terastallization, Z-moves, Dynamaxing, Gigantamaxing, all those, any Pokemon can do that. So, I don't know, that's my biggest hot take, is that Mega Evolution's completely unnecessary. Other than making the Pokemon look cool, it just looks like it hurts. Most of them, at least. And then, it's a Gengar, I think, that has... No, it's not. Which one is it? I gotta look it up real quick. There's
No
one
problem.
that I feel really bad for. Oh, it's Glalie. I don't know if you've looked up Glalie's Mega Evolution, but it looks painful. Here, I will copy it and send it to you in our chat.
Okay.
But it looks... Like, tell me this is not the most painful looking creature ever.
Oh.
Yeah, it looks awful. Like, I feel so bad for them.
It looks like a sad, cloister almost.
Exactly. So that's my hot take, is that Mega Evolutions shouldn't exist.
I would agree with that. Mine is less about the ethics and more about the actual gameplay mechanics of Pokemon. It doesn't make sense to me to have all of these Pokemon, and we even introduce older Pokemon so that Pokemon that don't have evolutions can evolve. It doesn't make sense to me to have some kind of Mega Evolution mechanic. Like, I know they're trying... Game Freak was searching for this
and
gimmick.
it does make them stronger, but at the same time, when you can only do it with a handful of Pokemon versus any Pokemon in the Dex, it's not viable. Also, biggest hot take. Getting closer to my camera while I say that. Why the hell does Charizard need 2 forms?
What do you mean?
He has 2 Mega forms. He has he has Mega Charizard X and Mega Charizard Y, and it makes no sense.
So that they could sell both copies of the game, Hops.
I know, it's just annoying.
I agree, and honestly, I know we were talking about this earlier this week, but him being... Oh, thank you, Newt. Him being so, like, low on the... Or him being how he is and how popular he is, he's really kind of an older, oversold Pokemon.
Yes, and
Like,
I will die on that hill. You get 2 hot takes in one from me right now.
I won't even fight you on that. I think that that's just true. He's so overused throughout the anime, and I mean, he's a dragon. He's a common dragon. It makes sense, but it's so just wide. The issue with them almost exploiting Charizard due to his popularity.
I also just feel like, the whole trading card game also kind of played into that with, his one card, and I won't say who bought it, but bought it for like 5.2 million or something like that. So 100%, I feel like that also he was already popular before then, but I feel like that really drove the craze up, and that's why his cards go for so much more than any other Pokemon card for the most part.
Definitely the highest selling trading card of all time sold at auction.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like Magic has the same issue where like there are a handful of cards that are very, very expensive, but you can't get your hands on them because they're so wildly expensive, and none of them. The most expensive card right now was the One Ring, the singular copy One Ring that sold to Post Malone.
I was about to say Post Malone owns it, doesn't he?
Yep, for $2 million he bought that, and I don't know. It's manufactured rarity. Like they can print more of these freaking cards. So.
Yeah, that's true.
So, do fans embrace the Mega Evolution, or do they kind of fight against that?
It really depends. It's starting to become, especially since Terrestrialization came out, people are starting to realize how dog water it was up until recently. But I think a lot of people still glaze it up to be something that it's not. That's my 2 cents on it. I know a lot of people who die on the hill that it's the best gimmick ever made, that the Mega Pokemon look the coolest ever. But I just personally can't see the hype.
And I've never played a game where a Mega Evolution was a thing. So like we were talking about earlier, I'm strictly in those first 3 generations is where I live. That's where I'm happy. Yep. Once we start getting into this, because my friend, I will say I think I've talked about Alec on every single episode of this. But he's a huge Pokemon fan. And I remember him talking about when Mega Evolutions were introduced, and I think he was a fan at the time. We don't really talk Pokemon a lot because that's not like my world. That's not where I generally live. But I think he was a fan at the time. And it was this thing that struck me like, I don't know if that's such a good move business-wise for the company. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, well, you go ahead, because I gotta look up something real quick.
Okay, I want them to have stability and be able to grow. I don't want them to grow in a gimmicky fashion.
Yep, nope, I am the same way. No, 2013. I will say it definitely drove up the craze for certain Pokemon. Because of the Mega Evolutions, like Charizard getting his X and Y form. I know I'm beating a dead horse now by bringing this up again. But Charizard getting his X and Y forms, like, really... I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this that makes sense. The thing about Pokemon is there's 3 different forms of Pokemon fans. At least, well, we're going overarching. We're not going to dive into the fact that there's the people who play the anime or watch the anime but don't play the games and so on and so forth. But the 3 major forms in my eyes are people like myself who play the games because they just love the media, like they love every form of it. You have your fans who are only playing it for the competitive aspect, who just want to do like, they're good at it, so they're gonna do it. And then you have the fans who are there because of Charizard, or Pikachu, or any of the super popular Pokemon like Eevee, or its evolutions, and so on and so forth. And I think how the market and why they market towards these things is because they want, so like, again, Charizard getting its 2 forms, Pikachu now getting its 2 forms in the Legends ZA that's coming out next week. They're targeting, they purposely target with these gimmicks people who have fan favorites that are extremely popular. And that's why they can get away with doing risky business stuff like this, because they know that the majority of people are going to like it.
I guess that makes sense. It doesn't make me feel any better.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's not gonna make you feel better, but that's why they do it. It's 100% because they know people will eat it up.
I just want them to release a Hey Mew game so that I can have a Mew that loves me. Like, that's all I want.
That's very fair.
Alright, so let's move into our next critical path. We spent a good minute on this, so...
Yeah, I know.
Let's move into our next critical path. The Pokemon League is supposed to represent fairness and skill, but does it really? Or is it just a system of hierarchy that decides who matters and who doesn't?
I think it genuinely depends on the region. I will say for, it's been such a long time since I've played Fire Red or Leaf Green, but if I'm correct, in there it is quite literally just the strongest members in like battling wise that make up the Pokemon Gym or Elite Four. I know in Pokemon, which one is it? Can't remember which game it is off the top of my head, but in one of them, one of the gym leaders is asked to become a Elite Four member because they are stronger than a lot of the Elite Four members, but they decline because they don't want that responsibility. So I definitely think it's a bit of who's the strongest, and then I also think it's a bit of, you know, I don't want this position, give it to someone else.
Well, and I mean, I know in the second generation games you've got Lance at the very top. He's the end of the Elite Four. And if I am not mistaken, that has to play with a little bit of nepotism is why he ended up in this position.
I don't know. I don't think it was him who ended up in his position due to nepotism. I think it was Claire, the 8th gym leader, that ended up in her position because of nepotism because she was directly under Lance.
That sounds more right, actually.
Yeah. So, in her case, it was... I definitely think in her case, she got the training and all that stuff that she needed to be at the top. But she still put in the work herself to become the strongest. And she's the strongest dragon tamer or whatever in her area. And that's why she's the leader of her gym. She's also an immature brat, but that's a story for a different time.
So
she's the gym leader that when you beat her, she gets upset and runs away, and so you have to go talk to the elder of the clan.
Yeah, you have to go find your stupid badge. That drove me insane. So Crystal was the first one that I actually played through. I was 9 when it came out, I think. And that's the first one I played all the way through. I loved the game. Claire pissed me off. And Whitney. Breaking Miltank. Oh my god.
That's valid.
So, does the Okay. So does the Pokemon League bring people together or divide them?
I think it brings people together. It also depends on the region. So you have, you know, some regions where the Pokemon League is very much like, oh, this major and like terrorist group is bothering us. Let's go send a freaking 10-year-old to go deal with it. And then you have like the Pokemon Unova League for X and Y, or not X and Y, Black and White and Black and White 2, where in the anime, and the gym leaders actually in this case, you have freaking Bryson, the ice gym leader, just straight up throwing hands with people, tossing them off of bridges and stairs. So I definitely think it depends on the region. Some of them are definitely a I'm not gonna do squat group, and then you definitely have some that are like, I will burn the entire world down if anything happens to my people.
And okay, so here's one of my clearest issues with at least the way that the games are built, is yes, you have all these essentially pokey terrorists running around. You've got Team Rocket, and then Team Rocket again, and then Magma and Aqua, I think.
You have a Gen 7 with Team Rainbow Rocket.
Yeah. But you've got this super powerful group of Pokemon trainers in the Pokemon League who could go deal with this. And they don't.
Yep. I will say, like, even in Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, like, Cynthia's there with you the entire time. She's, like, talking to you, helping you and stuff. But she's not actively, like, even in the final fight against Cyrus, when you go into, like, the Distortion World and Platinum and stuff, she's there, but she's not actively helping you. So there's definitely some, like, weird disparity there that I don't know if they're just under an oath that they can't intervene or what, but
that seems like a silly oath to have.
I get, yeah. Well, that's why I said, like, you have the Unova League, the Pokemon Black and White, and they do literally show up in game and in the anime. They show up in that final fight and are like, we're gonna take care of all the grunts and stuff. And part of it in the games, at least I can say, is that I keep referencing Black and White because it's the biggest example of this, because it was like the first one to explore the whole philosophy of it all, in my opinion. Its biggest thing is that you are chosen. Like, the legendary Pokemon chooses you. You're not like going to its lair and catching it. I mean, you are, but it chose you. It chose to fight you instead of running away type stuff. So they know that you are the one that has to deal the final blow, but they're still showing up, they're still helping, they're still actively doing stuff. Versus, you know, all the other leagues that are just like, cool, congrats, you get a legendary.
Yay!
Pity claps, pity claps. Watch Cynthia stomp my ass for the 15th time in a row.
Yep. So, is striving for mastery the same as striving for domination? Is trying to be the Pokemon League champion the same as trying to dominate all of the other trainers?
No. And yes and no. It depends. So, this goes back to our first conversation about bonds over strength. I am a firm believer that if you are going to become the Pokemon Master, like, the head of all trainers, whatever, you are only going to get there if you form a bond with your team. Versus if you're just doing it for strength, like, yeah, you'll get to the end, but the master's gonna beat you up. Like, you can't beat someone who has that bond, that perfect bond with their team.
I like that. I think that's a very strong point. Yeah, I think that's a really strong point. Especially, I keep going back to the older games because I'm an old man. But we get, like, in Gen 2, you fight the Pokemon League, you become the Pokemon champion, and then you go fight Red.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I kind of find this disconnect, is Red he's no longer the current champion, but he is a former Pokemon League champion.
And I do think it's hinted at in his storyline at some point that he wasn't defeated. He retired. So it's fair to say that he was still the champion of champions.
Yeah.
At least in the game world. That also being said, because you're going back to the older games, I'll go back to the older games for you. A good example, again, is Fire Red Leaf Green, where when you go to fight the champion, Gary's there, because Gary beat the champion first. He's a good example, because we talked about how, you know, he treats his Pokemon just as well as the main character does. Like, he loves his Pokemon. You see him in Lavender Town, in the tower, mourning dead Pokemon and stuff, and all this stuff and whatnot. And it's safe to say that he made it to the top. He was one of the only rivals to make it to the top because he did genuinely care about his Pokemon just as much as the protagonist did.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Blue is top tier. One of the top tier Pokemon trainers now that I'm looking back at it.
Yeah, he's a little asshole like to you half the time, but you see him he comes back in some of the later games too, like in Pokemon Sun and Moon. He does come back in the end of the game in the battle tower, and I mean he's still a jerk, for lack of better terms. He's still a jerk, but you can tell he still cares about his Pokemon,
which is arguably the most important thing about the games.
Oh yeah, and that's why they make it. You know, you have Pokemon that evolve based on love, based on friendship, and all that. It's like, it's a very big, like, this is a good thing to do. Like, you want to love your Pokemon.
We see that.
You want to be friends with them.
We see that with Togepi in the anime, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, in the games, you have to have max friendship with Togepi as well. So, to do that, it depends on the game. Most of them, in the later games, having picnics with them can increase it. Most of the time, just winning battles. Winning battles will increase your friendship with Pokemon. Walking with it in, like, the silver and gold and soul silver and heart gold.
Yeah. Steps matter.
Yeah. Steps matter.
So, would the Pokemon world work without having the Pokemon League at all?
Yes. And you see this in the spin-off games like the Pokemon Ranger games, where they actually do have regions where you don't catch Pokemon. You do still have partners though, but you don't physically catch them in the Pokeballs. They don't have leagues, they just have essentially Rangers. Like, that's the whole point of those games, is there's no Pokemon League, there's no Pokemon gym leaders, trainers, or any of that. They just live in harmony with these Pokemon.
That's awesome. The only spin-off game I've ever played was the first Mystery Dungeon.
That's such a good one. It's my favorite one.
It's a great game.
Mm-hmm.
I borrowed my friend's copy when I was 14. And this was right around the time that Diamond and Pearl were coming out. And she was like, well, I'm finished with Mystery Dungeon for now if you wanted to play it. I was like, yeah, I'd honestly love to play it.
They are very fun take on the games. They remastered that one for the Switch, and I've been playing it recently. Replaying it, I guess just to say.
Nice.
And it's very fun, and I love the art style. And just the fact that you get to play as a Pokemon is really cool.
Yeah, that's my favorite part, is I've always wanted to be a Pokemon. Like...
And the quiz at the beginning that's like, what Pokemon are you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay. So let's hop into Canon Court. Figure out what button to click. Tonight's claim: Pokemon battling is cruelty disguised as sport. Wastelands... Hobbs, what do you think?
So this great thing with a lot of these things is that it's a very gray area. There's a yes and. I think for the majority of the Pokemon universe, it is considered a good thing, because Pokemon, it is hinted multiple points in the anime and the games that Pokemon need to battle in order to grow, and that they enjoy battling. I mean, you can go and watch certain episodes where they're just observing Pokemon in their natural habitats and they're just straight up fighting each other. Like, you're stopping them before they get hurt. Obviously, they quote unquote faint, but they're not, they're not dying. They're doing it because they like it. If they didn't want to, they wouldn't do it, as seen from, like, multiple times with Ash's Charizard just straight up leaving because he does not. Well, that was because of a different reason, but if they don't want to do it, they won't do it, essentially. There are obviously, like, the evil teams who treat their Pokemon cruelly. Like, obviously they're cruel, they're doing it for cruel reasons. Their Pokemon typically don't enjoy it. Um, you have, I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it. Is just it depends on the person. If you're obviously with an evil organization, yes, you could like Pokemon and you could be treating them nicely, but most of the time you're going to be, most people are going to be treating their Pokemon how they want to be treated, essentially.
So a natural segue into this is if Pokemon enjoy fighting, does that still make it okay? Oh, are you still there? I see your mouth moving, but...
I muted myself on accident because I was coughing.
Gotcha. That
no,
makes
that was
sense.
on me.
That makes sense as to why your mouth was moving, though.
No, that's fair. But it's no different than like MMA and boxing and stuff. I'm in our world. It's a sport. People watch it. The fighters choose to do it. We may not necessarily agree with it because we're pacifists. We don't enjoy fighting. But most of the time, those fighters are going to stop before they get severely injured. They're going to tap out. They're going to leave the fight. I'd argue it's the same in the Pokemon world. Most of them are going to leave the fight, or, they'll faint. They'll tap out. They're choosing to do it.
Okay. Let's pause for just a moment. My OBS is having a difficult time, so I think I just went offline and came back online.
Explain why I was seeing it stutter.
Yeah. The recording should not be affected, but the stream was, so...
Oh.
And it's a live first show. I want the people here to get the best experience they can.
I get it. That's valid.
Okay, so... With that, oh no, it's doing it again. What is going on with my internet?
It's OBS for you.
I don't usually...
It's not working with you, it's working against you.
Yeah, I don't usually have issues, so... But like I said, the recording should be okay. It's straight up just my connection to Twitch. So I think I need to... Stop stream.
It's...
Start stream. And that appears to have cleaned it up.
The good old turn it off and turn it back on.
It's the go-to IT move that I know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's the most important one that everyone should know.
Yes. So, is battling about true partnership?
I think so. If you want to see your Pokemon grow, if you want to grow as a person, then you need to trust your Pokemon. Your Pokemon needs to trust you. It's 100% about partnership and whatnot. I mean, and there's also the point that when you're out in the wild and the Pokemon attacks you first, they're actively seeking a fight with you. And I'd say that even just as a Pokemon that you're not going to catch, just fighting them is an example of that. They just enjoy fighting so much.
Yeah, and with that, so the next question we go into is going to kind of touch more on what I'm about to bring up, but I kind of want to bring it up as a small thing.
Yeah.
Does, like, if Pokemon are animals, then... that would be like the equivalent of dog fighting in our world. And even if the dog enjoys it, is that still okay?
So that is where I will actually disagree with you on. While they are technically animals in their universe, they have the sentience of a human. They can essentially consent to anything. You can't force them to do anything they don't want to do, because one, they'll fight back, they'll run away, they'll destroy the Pokeball, so on and so forth. They'll just straight up leave. Like, they don't have to stay with you unless you're forcing them to under, like, through certain means, like, you know, the red chains or whatever in Legends Arceus and stuff, where you're like binding them. But 100%, it is a very different situation. They are very sentient. Like, they have their own personalities. They can communicate with you. They can tell you if they don't want to do something, if they do want to do something. If you try to pit them against another... I mean, back to the first Mewtwo movie. When the clone Pokemon finally realize they have free will and can do whatever they want, they stop fighting. Like, they don't want to fight anymore. And then they feel sympathy for Ash when he gets turned into petrified, and they all feel sympathy, so they're 100%. It is a very different situation. They are their own creatures. If you saw them in 2 days, like in our universe, they would be a step above dolphins, which are the smartest, you know, like sea animal, or like chimpanzees. They'd be a step above chimpanzees. Like, they can tell what's wrong, what's right, and all that stuff.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the input there. Yeah. My stream, my OBS is still so. We're gonna keep going, and people just have to tune into the YouTube, Spotify feeds for the back half of the episode. So does the glory of winning belong to the trainer or the Pokemon, or is it like an even 50-50 split?
I would say it's a combined effort. It is definitely a 50-50 split, or I would say a 100%. I think they both are 100% getting satisfaction out of it. I mean, the trainer gets the satisfaction of watching their Pokemon grow, and they get the satisfaction of winning the fight, and then the Pokemon gets the satisfaction of, you know, fighting, doing something it loves, and it gets the satisfaction of, you know, basically saying, hey, trainer, look at me, I did good.
And it builds that bond, which is, as we continued to hammer home during this episode, an incredibly important thing.
I will say another argument to the whole is fighting bad thing is cruel. Another thing in the games is so you know how there's the happiness levels, the friendship levels and stuff? If you continuously win fights, that friendship goes up. But if you keep losing fights, that friendship goes down. So it is very much the Pokemon will become friends with you through battling, versus if you keep losing fights, they're gonna be like, okay, you suck. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Not gonna listen to you.
Which makes sense, like, especially with the level of sentience that they have, that completely makes sense. Alright, so let's move forward to the final critical path that we've got, which, as I already alluded to, has to do with this exact thing. Are Pokemon closer to animals or people, and how should we really understand them?
I would say that if they were in our universe, they would have their own rights. I don't think we should set the rights for them. They would have their own rights that they set themselves. Now, do I think they should be able to vote in our government? Obviously not. But they should have the right to state what matters to them, do what matters to them. They are intelligent creatures. You have humanoid Pokemon that are like 100% like human level intelligence, human level stature and everything, like, you know, Gardevoir, Gallade, all them.
Mr. Mime.
Mr. Mime is a good example. I mean, yeah, the Pokemon are animals, but again, they are by no means below human intelligence. That's
actually really a great piece of input there. So I don't have this, and I was unsure if I was going to talk about this at all, but how should, let's say, in the next 3 or 4 years, real-world AI becomes this kind of level of sentience? Should they be treated the same way as, like, you're suggesting Pokemon are treated?
Yes. A little bit about me real quick. I am a huge Mass Effect fan. My first game in the series was Mass Effect Andromeda, though. but I fell in love with Sam, the AI intelligence there, and I would 100% fight anyone who says that he doesn't deserve the same rights as me, because he's extremely intelligent. He can feel to a degree. The biggest thing is, like, if they're just a smart bot that can talk, no, obviously they're not going to have the same rights as us, but if they can feel, if they can distinguish feelings, I think anything that can distinguish feelings deserves some sort of form of sympathy from us.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I was curious, and I was thinking about asking that as a follow-up last night, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna, but it seemed like a good place to. So do Pokemon show signs of, like, a true culture and society? Or are they more driven by instinct?
Oh, okay. I definitely think it depends on the Pokemon. There are definitely some Pokemon, especially your legendaries and stuff, that are driven definitely more by instinct. Like seen in, I can't remember the name of the movie, but it's the one with Giratina and Shaman.
Okay.
Where Giratina never wants anything to do with the overworld. He's 100% just the distortion world. He stays there. That's his gist. He wants to eat Shaman, though. Shaman escapes him, so he keeps targeting Shaman until he can get him. And that is 100%, I think, an instinct thing. Obviously, there's more to it in the movie, but it's been so long since I've seen it. You have, and then you have, like, on the complete other flip side, you have Darkrai in the Pokemon The Rise of Darkrai movie, where he's a nightmare Pokemon. Like, his whole entire thing is inflicting nightmares on people. He's doing all these bad things, but he realizes that he's screwing up and that he changes his ways. He starts helping them instead of fighting them. That's like, he realizes, oh, this person saved me when I was younger, so I need to stop being bad. I need to help protect them from all the rising aggression that's about to come towards here. So I definitely think there's a duality of it. I definitely think it depends on the species of the Pokemon, but I would say that a strong majority of them probably lean more towards the society-driven instead of instinct-driven. But I also think it has to do with, like, in the Pokemon Ranger universe, or actually a better example would be Arceus, where the Pokemon have never met humans before. Like, that is their first interaction with them. They do not like them. However, when they start getting caught, they start to realize, like, oh, these humans aren't bad. Like, they let us fight. They let us, eat. They feed us. They clean us. So on and so forth. And then that's where, like, that's their first interaction of humans starting to become friends with Pokemon. But then you have, like, the now times, I guess, if you will, where the Pokemon just live in harmony with humans. Obviously, you have your wild ones, but they're not going to be, like, going into towns and bothering people. They're going to be living on their own and befriending people as they come.
Yeah, Snorlax.
Yeah. He's an exception. That's because he sleeps wherever he wants.
So, if some Pokemon are smarter than humans, does that make humans the lesser species?
I don't know, actually. It's a good question. Because, I mean, you have, back in caveman days, for instance, you had a bunch of animals that were, I mean, humans were basically the same level of intelligence as animals were back then. But because of our, determination, tenacity, our opposable thumbs, so on and so forth, we evolved past that. Like, I think if it became a Pokemon versus human society, I still think humans would win in the end, but that's just because humans are, for lack of better terms, a virus that can't go away.
Yeah. But, yes, a plague. I don't disagree.
Humans are a plague, and I will die on that hill.
I will die there right next to you. I really think that that's a good way to describe them. Us.
Yeah, I do think they could. But yeah, 100%. I do think there are some Pokemon that could definitely, like, overtake human society, but I feel like human society would still come back out on top.
like cockroaches.
Yeah.
So what would change if the games treated Pokemon more as citizens and less as creatures?
Well, we're gonna explore that in the near future with the release of Pokopia, which is a farming thing where you play as a Ditto human and have citizen Pokemon with you. Um, but I do think if I don't know, I don't know. I do think it's just if they would live with us, they'd be essentially the same as us. I don't think, they have no need for money or anything, so it's not like they would they would replace people's jobs 100%. Like, don't get me wrong, you're gonna have Machops, Machokes, and stuff in the building sites and whatnot, but they're still gonna need people to train them to not control them, but show them what to do. Otherwise, they'll just do what they want to do.
Well, and I mean, we see a small amount of that in second gen, the very beginning, where you're just moving to the new town, and you've got these Machops or these Machokes moving stuff.
Third gen.
Mm-hmm. That's third gen.
Yeah, region.
I knew it was one of them. But they're helping move boxes, and it's like that's a distinct thing where you could hire people, but if you have Pokemon, why hire people?
I think the Pokemon, in our day and age, 100% they'd be replacing us with Pokemon because it's free. But I think the Pokemon world does it best. I think, having those people there, because, like, you have those Machamps, Machokes, and stuff helping you move, but you also have someone who's, like, their owner, their leader, whatever, and their trainer who's, like, telling them what to do, like, showing them how to do it. Like, they raise them to do that. You're still gonna need people to raise those Pokemon to be those specialized things. Because, I mean, you look at a Machamp, a Machoke, they're fighters. Like, their whole thing is supposed to be fighting. Not movers, not construction workers, but they're still used in those fields because they're strong. So there's always going to be, and like I said, the Pokemon best. I mean, you'll go to a kitchen and you have your culinary Pokemon who are really good at cooking and stuff, but there's always going to be a chef there helping them.
Or a Clefairy in a hospital, but you're still always going to have doctors.
Yep.
All right. Let's move into our last save point before we get into the poll, which might get skipped. I might just ask your opinion because my OBS is still having a really rough time.
Yep, oh, I get it.
So, what Pokemon embodies your personality best?
Oh, wow. As much as I love my top 3 Pokemon, all 3 of them are naturally extremely violent, so none of them. I would have to say probably Gardevoir, and that's just because her whole entire thing is protecting people. Her thing is, like, she has they have this close bond with their trainer, and so if their trainer gets attacked, they'll want to, like, step in and protect them. They'll take the brunt of the damage. If you look at Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team or Blue Rescue Team, that's a prime example right there. Like, the whole point of one of the major arguments is that you're a human and that your partner, which it comes to find out it's not your partner, but your partner, was a Gardevoir who died for you, and that's why you were punished and turned into a Pokemon. Like, that, I think that's me. I'm very much about, like, wanting to make sure people are okay. I try to fight for people, so I feel like I have to protect them even if they do slight me. So I would say I'm a Gardevoir.
That's awesome. So would a Gardevoir be your starter Pokemon if they were in the real world.
Ralts would 100%.
Ralts.
So you know how I mentioned earlier that I always have the 4 same Pokemon on my team ever since Gen 6?
Yep.
That is my top 3 Pokemon, which are Noivern, Hydreigon, and Zoroark. And then it is always either a Gardevoir or a Gallade. So 100%, that would be a more reasonable option than the other 3 because they are mean. I would 100%, if a Ralts was here next to me, it would be my partner.
That's awesome. Do you think people around you would pick the same Pokemon for you?
No, that's a good question. Because you're getting the nice version of me, and I can be very mean to them. But, like, I do it in a nice, friendly way. But I would also take them, so they might. But they also don't have knowledge of Pokemon, so they would probably go with what they think would fit, and not by actual Pokemon Dex injuries or examples in games and stuff.
What do you think Hendo would say?
He'd probably be mean and call me, like, Jinx or Mr. Mime or something.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. I was like, he would be like unresolvingly mean about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna, I'll message him right now. I doubt he'll see it in time for this, but if I was a Pokemon, what would I be? We'll see what he does, and I'll let you know the answer later.
Okay. Would your personality Pokemon win battles, or would it just vibe?
A little bit of both. I think. We had this discussion earlier too. I'm very much a vibe person. I'm a go with the flow person. I definitely think my Pokemon would just chill with me. We do our own little hobbies and color and stuff, and just be friends and besties. But I think if it came down to it and they needed to 100% row hands in order to survive or save someone or just help people, or just for if they're bored.
Yeah.
I like debating people when I'm bored, so that's essentially verbal fighting.
You play devil's advocate all the time?
I try.
Yep. My roommate's exactly that way, and it drives me insane half the time, so... It's like, no, I just need you to agree with me right now. Like, this isn't an argument thing.
Yeah, I'm really bad about that.
Alright, so we're gonna move into our poll. And I am gonna, even though we're having, these insane technical difficulties... Oh, and I wrote the wrong thing in here. Oh well. So this is the starter showdown. If you could have any type, fire, water, grass, as your starter, what would it be?
Oh, easy. So since my avatar right here that you're seeing on screen is blue, the answer would be grass type. The majority of starters that I have chosen are grass type. My favorite starter is actually from the Gen 8 games, or not Gen 8, the Gen 9 games, and that is Sprigatito, Florgato, and Meowscarada. I love my damn cat. And my first starter I ever picked, which was in Fire Red Leaf Green, was Bulbasaur. Love Bulbasaur. Stan Bulbasaur. And I think for the majority of Pokemon that I've picked is the grass type, with the exception of Cyndaquil in Gen 2 and Fennekin in Gen 6. Oh, and Oshawott in Gen 5. Because I didn't like Snivy. I didn't like snakes back then. I like snakes now, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, I'm not a big snake person. I have generally selected fire types as my starter for every Pokemon game I've played. And that might just be a knee-jerk reaction, because I know what I'm expecting, but it's also grass types and water types are really easy to find in the world, but fire types are so rare. Generally, they're relegated to endgame. They're hard to get to.
Looking at you, Gen 4, with your 2 fire types that you added.
I always think of Magmar when because that's like the very first in Gen 1, that's like the very first fire type you see outside of Charmander.
Yeah.
And Charmander's just a cutie. Like, I'd pick him no matter what. He is such a freaking cutie.
You know my input on him.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. We don't need to fight.
Let's see. Let's go. I'm looking at a list real quick because I think it would. How many Pokemon are of each type? And your fire type, there's only 86. I don't know when this article was made. 2023, so there's probably more than since then. But there's only 86 fire type Pokemon. There's 157 water type.
Holy shit.
And 124 grass type.
That's so many.
Mm-hmm.
That's so many.
Oh, yeah. I think the lowest type, I remember back in the day it was ghost type. It might still be. It's a type between ghost and ice, I think.
Or fairy.
Oh, fairy has 69. There's also 69 dragon types according to this list. There's 58 ice.
Wow.
Yeah, there's not a lot of ice type Pokemon. It is a very there's 70 ghosts. So yeah, ice is the lowest. But I mean, ice has so many weaknesses though.
Sorry, Articuno. So, would a new type like fairy, dragon, or ghost ever break into starter status, or will we always see fire, water, grass?
We will always see fire, water, grass just because it's the perfect trifecta. I mean, water beats fire, fire beats grass, grass beats water. There's not very many other typings that can do that. Which is why I think those three will always remain the same, but I do think they will start to explore more secondary typings. I think we could definitely see like a fire dragon or a water dragon as a typing in the future. That's a lie. We won't see anything other than firefighting now that we have 3 firefighting starters. But I digress.
Yeah.
I definitely think we'd see a lot more secondary typing with some of these lower counts.
So, does nostalgia make the early gen starters unbeatable when it comes to picking one?
Really depends because a lot of people's first games are dependent on how old they were when they started playing Pokemon. So by the time I played my first Pokemon game, Sapphire and Ruby were already out, but I still played Leaf Green, Fire Red first, which is why Bulbasaur is one of my favorite. But Sprigatito is my all-time favorite starter Pokemon, and it's the newest, like the very newest gen that came out a few years ago. So I definitely think, for me, it's not a nostalgia factor, but I do think for a lot of people it would be. I know a lot of people who are still diehard Charmander fans, who are Charizard fans. I know people who are diehard Incineroar fans, because that's the first game they played. I know some people who are diehard Swampert Mudkip fans, because, hell, it's Mudkip. You can't argue with that.
Yeah. Mudkip's such a cutie, too. Oh my god.
I don't choose Trico, I choose Mudkip.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the one with the Torchic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I pick. Dude.
That's your first firefighting.
Firefighting, exactly. It's such a powerful combination. It's such a powerful combination.
It's you have Blaziken who's firefighting, you have Infernape who is fighting, and then I think Imbor is also firefighting, yeah.
And goated. Absolutely goated. Blaze Kick is the best move of all time.
Oh yeah. He has I know I shit on Megas earlier, but he does have a really good Megas.
What starter feels the most iconic to you?
That's a good one. Personally, it would have to either be Meowscarada because I'm such a huge Meowscarada fan, or Bulbasaur, just because Bulbasaur is amazing.
I love
I know
Bulbasaur.
popularity-wise, the answer is Charizard. But personally, it is 100%, Bulbasaur, Venusaur, Ivysaur, Venusaur, would be, like, most iconic to me. Just because, I mean, Grass Poison, it's just so good. Like, yeah, it has a lot of weaknesses, but I can still kick your ass with it.
Well, and
Sorry, language.
no, you're good. Ass isn't that bad of a word.
Fair.
And we're allowed to, at this point, YouTube really only checks like the first 10 minutes of your video, so
That's fair.
we're an hour and 19 minutes in. So, getting to the close of our show today, let's talk about the future of Pokemon. As you brought up earlier, Pokemon Legends Z-A is right on the horizon. It's next week,
Yep.
and fans are buzzing about what it could mean. Do you think it's going to redefine Pokemon the way Legends Arceus did, or just expand on what we already know?
I think it's going to expand on what we already know. I don't think it's going to really do anything other than with the... It's incentivizing the rank system a lot more than previous games have, and I think that's going to be its biggest thing. I actually think they announced a game that's going to be on phone and on Switch in the near future. It is called Pokemon Champions, and it is essentially just a fighting simulator, Pokemon Battle Simulator, and it's going to have all of the gimmicks. It's going to have Mega Evolution. It's going to have, I don't know if it's going to have Z moves, which I hope it does because I love those. It's so funny. It's going to have Dynamaxing and Terrestrializing and all that stuff. So I think that is actually going to change more for the you're really going to see people strategizing between, okay, do I want my Pokemon to hold a Mega Evolution Stone, or do I want them to hold an... Do I want to Dynamax my Pokemon to make them have more HP and higher attack, or do I want to Terrestrialize them so that they get stab and typing and their weakness is gone? So I definitely think it is going to be a lot, it's going to grow the community, especially the competitive community. But as far as the games go themselves, I don't think they're gonna really change much about them. It's still gonna be the same rinse and repeat formula.
Awesome. I'm pretty excited. I haven't played a Pokemon game in what feels like 10 years, like at least a new one, and it might honestly be longer than that. The last new, quote-unquote new game I played was Fire Red Leaf Green when they came out. So it feels like it's been over a decade. And maybe it hasn't been. I don't know. Should the series keep exploring past eras, or is the future of Pokemon more compelling?
I don't know. I think the future is really compelling. I think they can do so much with it. I think they need to make a Pokemon Black and White remake. But I do think I would like to see a game that actually dives into like the very... We see it with Legend Arceus, where they explore the time before Pokemon are friends with people. But I would like to go even further back and just like see something about the creation of Pokemon. Where did they come from? How were they made? And at what point did humans start interacting with them? Because we only saw it in what is essentially now the Sinnoh region. I want to see what it's like for other regions.
And then finally get a distinct answer on who is the first Pokemon.
Yeah, or who is how the hell do Pokeball work? Pokeballs work.
Yeah. That's such a good question that like just seems to need an answer. Honestly. Because they've been around forever. They've been around forever.
I mean, there's the... I can't remember what the movie's called. It's been so long since I've seen majority of them. But there's the movie with Celebi where they go back in time and they helping the like tribe area. Or there's actually a good example is Pokemon Rangers Guardian Signs. They do help Celebi by going back in time and helping people there by fixing their problems and stuff. Like you can see early on how they live, at least in the Ranger world where they lived alongside them. They didn't have them captured, free to do their own. They essentially lived in their own society with these Pokemon that had the exact same rights as them. I'd like to see more of that. I'd also just like to see another Pokemon Ranger game because it's such an interesting perspective on Pokemon in the first place.
Agreed. Alright, Hops. Well, that's Canon and Cogito for tonight. A huge thank you goes out to you for joining me and diving into the world of Pokemon, for first off suggesting that we do this, secondly for coming on and doing the first episode. Are there any final words that you have for anybody who might still be in the Twitch chat, but anybody who might listen to this later on YouTube and Spotify? And if you want people to find you online, where can they track you down?
Yeah, so the only piece of advice I have is don't let anyone ever shame you for playing Pokemon. It is a very fun game. Even if it is still made for children, it is, I mean, you can still enjoy it. This nostalgia is there. It's a piece of media. Eat it up. And then you can find me anywhere online as Wastelands Hop. There is shops with similar names. So you can tell me apart by the blue picture, the blue profile picture. And that's about it. I am on Twitter, on Twitch, and I don't know. I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you again, Hops. And thanks to everybody who stuck out the technical difficulties tonight. I know there was a lot of them. If you liked this episode, you can catch out Canon... If you liked this episode, you can catch Canon and Cogito live on Twitch right here, Windorf_Jenkins, and you can follow the show on YouTube and Spotify. At the end of the day, the worlds we talk about are fiction, but kindness is real. Please take care of each other out there. I'm Josh. I think, therefore, fandom, and we'll see you next time.